Hey there guys, what's going on? It's Alex. Today I've got a tiny review for the Redcat Twister XB. I've had about 6 months of use with this, and it's just an older car, but I've done some hop-ups to it, and this isn't going to be a full review, but because I'm selling it, and I wanted to get this video out here just to share my opinions on the car, so this is more of just a quick look than a review. So, anyway, starting with the upgrades, I'm going to go over this really quick because it has changed my opinion on the car or the buggy overall. I've changed out the ESC and the motor to a 3400K, no 3000. I'm not sure. It came out of my SC10. It's slightly larger than a 540, but it is still considered a 540. It's made for two-wheel drive short course trucks. That would change the speed just incredibly because this was brushed when I got it. As for the servo, I changed it to a Traxxas because the stock one was terrible. It was just so slow. It did not respond fast, and I think it was more high torque than it was fast, so it would it would take a while to get to where you wanted it to go. I've also changed out the rear tires, Proline caliber M2 compounds. They are much better than stock. More on that later. Changed out the front springs to the Losi XXX buggy green springs. They are a bit stiffer than the ones that come stock because the ones that come stock are terrible. More on that later once again. Other than that, I changed out the gears on here because I stripped out the originals. Don't remember what they are off the top of my head, but they do give great speed with still staying at a reasonable temperature. So, as for the car itself, when it comes out of the box, I got the brushed version, which was like $120, and it came with a very tiny ESC with a Tamiya connector or just the Molex connector. They're both referred as the same thing. It was okay out. Whoa! I was topping out, I would say about 23 to 25. These things are kind of smaller than the ones I usually drive, so they're kind of deceptive. They look a lot faster than they're actually going. But I would say that it was hitting about 24, 23, 25, somewhere in that margin. It was pretty quick, and you could use it on a track that was tinier, but not on my track where it's very large. So this was a must. I had it laying around, like I said, for my SC10, so I just swapped it in here. The stock pinion grub screw, that got stripped out. It was really weak, and I had to get a Dremel and like a torque screw and get it out of there. It was hard, but it was worth it. The stock tires, I said I would talk about this. The stock rear tires sucked. The stock front tires are fine. You can't really mess up on a rib design. So for the rears, the tread was somewhat decent, but the compound was so hard. Like it did not feel rubbery. It felt plasticky, and the foams they used to kind of counteract that were very soft. It felt like there was almost no foam in there. So it really just didn't go together well. I mean, they were hard on the surface, and then they were really soft. It did not mix well. It was like the foams had a shell around them almost. So I got rid of those, and I put on the calibers, which are my go-to tires. Pretty much I use them on the majority of my cars when I want to bash them in a dirt area. For the suspension that comes stock, I changed out the rear shock oil. It's a bit stiffer, but it is much smoother than it was stock, because when it came stock, it kind of didn't, like, it was really saggy, I guess. Changed out the springs once again, but these times they are black. They are not a fancy color like that, so they do look stock, but they are much different because they used to kind of sag like this, but now it's fully extended. I also changed the shock oil. Can't remember what it was, but it was better than what was in there, because pretty much anything you put in here is going to be better than what's stock, because everything on this car, it can be better. You can really just upgrade it. Doesn't really matter. So if you get this car, I would suggest switching out the suspension oil and springs front and rear. Have not changed out the oil on the front yet. Don't really find a need for it. It seems to be working fine for me. Oh yeah, let me talk about the servo. The stock servo, it's not good. Usually I try just to say that it is more torquey than it is fast, but this one was not. It was not responsive, and it wasn't torquey or fast. It was I gave it away free when I sold a battery because I knew that I would never need it again. When I would notice a delay, and unlike in my 22, it would be responsive, but the wheels would take a while to get there. It took a while to get there, but there was also a noticeable delay. So whenever I would turn right or left, it would give a noticeable delay, and then it would take its sweet time going over to where it wants. So I had to switch it out, put the track in one, like I said, and it works like a charm. It's great. One of the key features in this buggy is the battery strap. See this? Here, I'll try and get it over here. Pretty much you just pull these together and just push down like that, and it all comes out. Yay! I don't like this, really. I know a lot of people are like, it is so great, I love it, it is beautiful. I'm sure, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but it's not, because I got sand up in the, or not sand, well, kind of sand, it was just really weird. It was a mix of sand and dirt, and it kind of got up there, and I had to get pliers and just to get it open, and so I put some WD-40 and some lubricants on there and stuff like that, and that got it working pretty good. But I would like for it to have a traditional put your battery in from the top, because you can't really turn on the car from, you have to take the body off to turn on the car, so I don't see why you couldn't just put the battery in while the body is off. So that just seems like a cool feature, but it's not something that's really needed, or it's more of just a hassle, really. Battery strap. Still going on about the batteries. What's this? That goes up here. I had to cut it to get a bigger battery in here. It fits a War Legal or 5,000 milliamp battery. Does not fit anything really larger than that. So I just cut it, put some tape over there, and voila, it works like a charm. The battery doesn't fall out. I am just going to super glue it later, because I've just come to use smaller batteries now. But yeah. You probably already noticed this, but this does not use hex hardware. It uses Phillips head screwdrivers, which are the tiny X's, if you didn't know that. Which I like. Kind of. There's pluses and minuses to it. They tend to strip if you don't use the right size, which is kind of strange because you have to eyeball it. You can't really just find the correct size. So I'm not sure if I'm kind of so-so on it. I do like it because I have more of them laying around, and they seem to be easier, but I still think that hexes are more traditional, and Redcat's always used this. I knew when I bought it that I was gonna have to whip out the Phillips head screwdrivers on there. Let's go over durability. This thing is strong. I have not thrown it in a bag of rocks or something like that, and just to see how far I could go without breaking it. I just done reasonable, I wouldn't even call them tests because they were accidents. I did not mean to do them on purpose, but I did a few of them on purpose just to see what would happen. Because I've heard that up in here, these little axle carriers, they tend to pop. So, yeah. They did not for me. I had most of my crashes in the front though. I don't really see how you can land like that. I guess if you like land like this maybe, but still that doesn't really happen that often to me at least. In the front it's strong. Yeah, I took it off a ramp and there was a gate over here and the car just this wheel right here hit it straight on, and all that impact just went right there. The only thing that happened is this little ball cup thingy-majig, I still don't know the name of them, but the little ball end right there, it just popped off, but I could just pop that back on. So durability, I would give it about an 8, because I did break something. It is on the front. I broke one of these little turnbuckles. Luckily I have one laying around though, so I could just put it back in. You know, I can't really blame it. It was on the same fence crash. So, you know, all that force just took it off. So I'd give it, yeah, an 8 out of 10. That sounds about right. That's pretty much gonna conclude it. I'm not gonna have any running videos of it because I'm selling it for about $125. So if you want it, you know, message me or whatever like that, because I'm getting more into racing now, and I haven't driven this car in about 2 weeks. But one thing, mind you, if you do plan on buying it, one of the solder thingy-majiggers came undone, so you have to, this side's pre-tin, this is not, so if you want to get the car or anything like that, be sure to have a soldering iron with you or another ESC. So that's pretty much gonna do it, guys. Here's the stock body, in case you want to know. Looks fine. I took off all the Redcat stuff, but yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.